All right, good morning, everybody. Looks as if we are getting visuals set up and we should be good in about a minute or two. But happy Thursday to everybody. Good morning. And we are pretty much good to go. So let's go ahead and get started. So, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It is August 26, 2021. Couple things from yesterday to get us started. A little bit of activity inside of the bond market. For the past couple of sessions, bonds have been relatively stable in terms of not too much price action overall. We did get a little bit of a rise in interest rates yesterday, and that facilitated some intraday activity in sort of our normal correlated sectors. Um, If we look at the TNX, we see the sort of elevated rise. We can also look at something like the 30-year, sort of our longest date, and see that in this marketplace, we're getting some continued selling pressure along with the TLT, which if we're using the CTF as a reference point, the 150 price level has often acted as sort of a pivot. Price tends to either stabilize near this zone, or if we do get sort of a run up into this area, usually the price will sort of find value in this region. So as we're getting some continued selling, and as the VAR indicates that we may have a bit of continuation if we see more downside pressure, we want to take note into the fact that this is affecting the equities markets. We see that financials are getting the opposite effect, obviously rising and seeing increased buying volume. We noted that financials were coming off of a fairly stable consolidation phase, so a lot of range bound trading, but ultimately a lot of price action near the upper portion. And this was during the time that the bond market was starting to um, top in the short term. That corrective phase in TLT was starting to end. As we saw a top form, and ultimately when something like the TNX was giving us some fairly clear bottoming price action. This can be easily seen on the weekly with these sort of double bullish pin bars near the lows. The financials finally was able to get out of this trading range, and it was done so on an impulsive daily gap. So as we move forward from here, we're going to note that financials once again are seeing the benefit of rising interest rates. And that is, of course, if that is going to continue for more than just a couple of sessions. The likes of materials seeing the same sort of bullish price action yesterday. Um, Obviously, coming back into the 20 period, we're going to be watching that closely if we can return to a trending market, as we had very clear trending activity prior to the change in the bond markets. And industrials, same basic idea, albeit a different region of the chart and ultimately looking to sort of reattach to the 20. Obviously, a little bit more confirmation here as we are still within a larger trading range overall. Now, with this activity, we continuously discuss the fact that if financials are moving higher, if we have the likes of tech stable, understandably that this is currently a leader sector, in the overall market. And if we have no other major sectors coming down or having sharp corrections, the likes of healthcare is sort of the one in question, as we've had a little bit of downside pressure against the trend. All these things put together mean that as long as all of these sectors are stable, the SPY has the opportunity to continue much higher. There's sort of a sweet spot in terms of interest rates that we've seen, where as long as things are stable within about 1.2 to 1.5 on the 10-year, a lot of these sectors aren't necessarily hurt the increase or decrease of interest rates. And yet, certain sectors can outperform if we see sort of transitions from low to high within that tighter region of interest rates, 1.2 to 1.5 specifically. So there tends to be sort of a golden pocket intraday. Obviously, if bonds are moving, you may want to consider looking at these sectors because it offers short-term opportunity. With yesterday's price action, a lot of traders gravitated towards finance as they offered some excellent trend day opportunities, the likes of JP Morgan, Citi, and some of our strongest names like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs trading near all-time highs. So whichever one you opted to choose yesterday, most of them did have similar price action, and that was, of course, facilitated by some of the movement in bonds. Shifting back to the dollar, we're still holding and on watch to see if this short-term downstroke against a larger term breakout of the 93.50 area, can this hold? And ultimately, short term, we're not seeing a lot of conviction in the dollar. So as always, we want to kind of keep this one just in our back pocket, noting that the dollar can ultimately decide one way or another with more information on hand. We have the likes of the Jackson Hole event this week, and that should be kicking off, I believe, with some of the major announcements from Federal Chair Jerome Powell. That may add some additional volatility. So watching bonds and, of course, the dollar reaction to some of that information will be the way to sort of gauge what's in the what's the next phase for these markets. One thing we haven't looked at in quite a while is something like the RSP, which, for those who are unfamiliar, this was our proxy to gauge the equal weight distribution and strength or weakness inside of the S&P. So as we've discussed, the S&P is a market cap weighted ETF. SPX is going to reflect that as an index. But in order to smooth out all of these data points and ultimately treat every stock as equal, you need to come to something like this particular ETF to see the nuance of, I would say, breadth in the market. Do we have good breadth or do we have poor breadth? Are certain sectors the only thing providing strength, or are we seeing a lot of overall sector strength? And what has occurred recently is we've had a bit of consolidative and choppy equal weight price action in terms of this breadth. There hasn't necessarily been all sectors performing bullish, even though the S&P does continue to make new all-time highs. Now that has been altered recently with a move outside of this trading range and ultimately a close at all-time highs as of yesterday. So what we're seeing is that the breadth has been improving, and ultimately, as we are potentially within the sweet spot of interest rates, the market could potentially perform and continue to perform with all of this stable approach to these different markets. Another equal weight ETF is going to be the one for the NASDAQ, which is the QQEW. And as you can see, even in the NASDAQ 100, uh, there are some skewed companies with larger market caps that can ultimately move the NASDAQ more than others. But in reference to an equal weighted approach, you can see that this ETF is also showing a lot of overall breadth and strength in the NASDAQ, as we see that this is also trading at all-time highs. This ETF ultimately didn't have the same posture as the RSP. The NASDAQ being more heavily focused in technology companies, that breadth overall, even though it is eclipsed by larger market cap companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Google, even though that is the driving force behind the NASDAQ, the total breadth of all these technology companies has been relatively strong. And we obviously do have the corrections in line with some of the pullbacks in the NASDAQ. But as we can see, the sharp recovery has been met with a lot of buying in multiple companies, not just our market cap leaders. So moving into the next two sessions and ultimately knowing that there may be some volatility ahead, we want to take the approach, as we always do, as we trade near all-time highs. And we simply want to prepare ourselves for the event of volatility expansion. With the VIX trading once again back at our lower sort of depressed levels, the event of volatility re-entering the market is an opportunity for a trader to put on certain hedges. Let's see, I might have lost audio. Everybody's saying good? Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I just wasn't sure if I lost audio. I had a weird sound go through my input. Okay. So, with volatility back at these depressed levels, the idea remains the same. If you're someone who's looking for a hedge and you're looking to take advantage of a possible volatility expansion in the market, the likes of which we've seen multiple times, the idea is that you want to put these hedges on when the market is relatively calm and ultimately give yourself enough time so that when volatility returns, you can take these hedges off profitably while also not paying up for the protection to the downside. So each and every time we get these sharp rallies in something like the VIX, putting on hedges when we get back to the lows, obviously holding through a lack of volatility expansion, and then being able to remove your hedge profitably if the market does have a sharp sell-off correction like we've seen. Okay, got you, Corey. So, obviously we've seen this opportunity multiple times. The thesis remains the same, so really nothing revolutionary here. But the purpose of these hedges is not to necessarily profit from them, but is to protect your majority long position inside of the market. With every pullback that we've seen, there is the potential for the market to form something like a lower high and start a more distribution like pattern, ultimately leading to choppy price action and even sustained volatility. We haven't seen that yet, but each sell off, there is the potential for that to occur. And with these hedges, we can obviously leverage the VIX or even something like a short-term long position in a long leveraged ETF. A lot of people sort of gravitate towards the S triple Qs for a long position against the NASDAQ, or basically short the NASDAQ. But understand that these are often short term in nature, and you're looking just to capture that downside move without being exposed to the market directly. So, multiple ways to prepare for those corrections, and ultimately how you choose to do so is going to be based on your overall exposure in your portfolio, along with how you choose to sort of find moments of weakness and what's going to offer the best risk to reward. Now, the reason I bring that up is what we're seeing in the bond market. If this continues, and ultimately if we do not stay within that sweet spot of interest rates being low so that tech and growth companies can perform, but short term seeing volatility back to the upside, which shows that financials and inflationary sectors can perform short term. As long as we stay in that region, the market can obviously continue its bullish trend. If we see, once again, a impulsive move through one of those inflection points, something like the TNX breaking 1.5, that once again may put pressure in something like the NASDAQ or in growth specific companies. And with those pressures, we want to be sure that we have protection on, because it will eventually drag the SPY down with it. Not necessarily for a large sell-off, but it's obviously going to put pressure if the likes of Apple and Microsoft, as our two main examples, see selling. You can see yesterday's session that with interest rates rising, Apple did have a fairly weak overall intraday session. You can see that Microsoft, while trading at all-time highs, is ultimately consolidative in terms of its continuation move. And ultimately, yesterday's session was a bit poor. So, as with everything, keeping these moments in mind and leveraging all this information into how you're going to position yourself into the future. And obviously, the market is a bit on pause with some of these trade ideas due to the fact that we have a known binary event at the end of this week. All right, so yesterday I brought up a very simple study that was leveraged inside one of the success webinars this week. And the idea behind it was fairly simple. If we're using something like previous day close, and we're thinking about each candle's closure as an opportunity for the market to tell us whether or not we've accepted previous prices and ultimately want to move higher, or are we forming the potential for the marketplace to reject and ultimately to pivot around the dominant trend. When I brought this study up, it is of course relatively new, so I did expect some confusion, but ultimately the concept is one of four states of the market at pretty much all times. And depending on the time frame that you use, it can sort of remove some of the chop and noise that something like a daily chart might have. When the market is strong, and here I have the healthcare sector as just an example, we often see something like weekly candles, which are continuously showing green. All that means is that not only are these bullish overall candles, but each and every week we're seeing price acceptance. Each candle closes stronger and higher than the previous, and the previous candle also closed with the same condition. Hence, we have continuation and strength. If we see something like an orange candle against a stronger green trend, it is a moment in time for the market to potentially pivot. The idea is that regardless of if this candle is bullish or bearish, the fact that the candle closed weaker than the close of the previous candle allows for the market to consider this as an opportunity for a correction or a move against the larger trend. And then with additional information, we see that if orange returns to black, the idea is that that pivot in that time frame has been rejected, and ultimately the continuation can occur if we start to see moves above this region. Choppy price action like this is what's going on when we have trading ranges. That's where these weekly candles are essentially closing strong one week, weak another, and ultimately pivoting back and forth between acceptance of previous price and rejection the following week. Doesn't necessarily mean that the market is going to go down, but what we can see is that inside the larger context of these ranges, if we get an accepted pivot, we can have moments in time where the marketplace attempts to break down. And this is one of a more clear example that although we're in such a strong bullish market, this is an attempt for the market to use this pivot, which was a bit consolidative in nature overall, and try to break down. That obviously did not happen. We saw a recovery, and then we see the fact that this is once again back into green territory. The fact that the trend is so strong in healthcare, and ultimately what that looks like on the daily is a lot of these sort of green continuation candles amidst some choppier pullbacks. Now, the reason why we can use this information is if we leverage it on the higher time frames and try to understand when the market may want to have a larger than average pullback, it often will have to form with something like a weekly pivot. The idea is simple. If we see a lot of bullish price action and then we see a weekly close that is not accepting the previous candle's high, or sorry, close specifically, then ultimately is a marketplace that may be ready to correct. And with the weekly in its current posture, obviously very strong uptrend, but weekly posture is elevated, and ultimately we're starting to see the formation of a weak weekly candle, a selling weekly candle, then ultimately that is a moment for the market to decide that we could potentially correct. At that point, our skills as technical traders can begin to form, and we can use things like previous support and resistance, looking for where the marketplace may want to react. And ultimately, if that pivot is to confirm, we really need 3 candles worth of information. Sort of the move in the dominant trend, the pivoting of the dominant trend's direction, and then an eventual confirmation where we have a third weekly candle closing against the pivot range. So these concepts can be applied to pretty much any price level data point. I choose to use the previous day close. But when you think about it, markets pivot all the time. They use different price levels to accept or reject whether or not that is fair value based on the information at hand. And when looking at a study like this, leveraging other indicators or studies to find those moments, with the understanding that this is a very strong trending market, can often provide some of the best both buying and profit taking opportunities. Seeing these pivots form, understanding that you need to either maybe potentially take your trades off or even protect your long-term position. That's ultimately what this study can kind of glean outside of just selling and buying candles. All right, so last but not least, last week we're going to cover the idea that Bitcoin and in a large part, the majority of the crypto market is entering an interesting zone for market participants to consider. At the time, we brought up the Bitcoin chart and we leveraged a very simple fib retracement tool from high to low, ultimately using the low of the May crash as our bottom. And what we were noticing is that this chart is entering what is often referred to as a golden pocket zone. The idea here is simple. Bitcoin was in a fairly bearish downtrend after the crash. We saw the consolidative action between 30K and 42K, and now we are getting a corrective move against the dominant downtrend that was on the weekly chart. This corrective move we need to respect in regards to how far can it go, and ultimately where is it going in the short term relative to the pullback percentage. Bulls obviously want this to go as far as possible so that when we start something like weekly consolidation, they have the opportunity to take advantage of previous resistance turn support and ultimately look to change the dominant trend into something like a weekly trend change. What we're seeing right now is that Bitcoin is both in this pocket along with seeing some potential weekly consolidation. That, of course, has not confirmed yet, but as we are talking about pivots, it was pretty clear on the weekly to see that we had a couple of very strong and significant green buying candles to the upside that, of course, made it to 50K. 50K so far has not been confirmed as a breakout, as we've simply tested it from below and so far have been unable to close above 50K to the upside, at least with regards to the daily candles. So if we are entering weekly consolidation, the idea once again becomes pretty straightforward. Where do bulls want to defend? And if they fail to defend, what is the potential for downside correction? So we saw from high to low the fact that 50K or 47 to 52K was approximate golden pocket. If they fail to move higher from this overall trend, which of course has been sort of supplemented by the 20 period, which is the green moving average on my chart. If the bulls fail to defend here, we can pretty confidently say that we're going through some sort of weekly consolidation. At that time, taking something like a fib tool, using the top of this test candle, and ultimately projecting down and looking to see where this, once again, new sort of corrective pullback may find additional support. Without going ahead and drawing it, as we don't have a lot of this data present, we can see that we've made approximately from 30K to 50K about a 20K move overall from low to high. So it actually doesn't make, it's not too out of the realm of possibility for this market to once again have a 50 to 61.8% pullback against this corrective trend. That could easily bring this back into the 42 to 40K range, which is this larger down, or I would say a bottom range upper support. So the fact that we are in this region, the fact that we are seeing, at least in the short term, a lack of follow through in the likes of these stronger swing high to swing low moves that have been made against the trend. If we see weekly consolidation and the marketplace simply settles, you want to be preparing yourself for the eventual pullback that is probably most likely needed. And where that pullback can find additional support is going to be important for the next round of trading. Obviously, if you've profited or traded this impulsive corrective move, it's a very large range to take advantage of, and there's been quite a few opportunities. But now we are in a spot that we need to be thinking about the next round. And ultimately, with 4 weekly candles to the upside, 5 if you count the test of 50K, or I guess if you count the bottoming candle, then it's not too out of the realm of possibility to see this pull back and ultimately form the potential for a weekly trend change. So um, at some point, I'd like to bring up something like a growth-based company and show some similarities to how this chart is forming versus what has already formed in some of these names. I guess as a teaser for that, I was going to use the chart of NEO. NEO, obviously a completely different company, Bitcoin, completely different asset, but technical analysis and human psychology are often one and the same. And there are a lot of similarities with how this chart is forming and what has already formed in a chart like NEO. Obviously, we need to take into account there are different factors and different catalysts for these, but we want to see if Bitcoin does these events and has the same structure, can we use this as a guide? And if that is eventually what does happen to be true, we can leverage something like that chart to see what once again may be the next phase. So eventually we'll get a moment to look at that. There's always some information for the market that I think is more relevant. But if you're looking at something like that over tomorrow or the weekend, bring up Neo's chart. Look at how similar some of these larger weekly to monthly corrections have been, and also look at that recovery phase. Neo did recover from approximately 32 to 55, but then see what occurred next. That is what potentially may be about to occur with Bitcoin. The structure certainly looks the same. So, with that said, let's go ahead and call it for today. Stay tuned for pre market prep. Sort of final reminder, we will not have engineering the markets tomorrow. So, I'll see y'all next week. And ultimately, trade safe and take it easy. Hopefully, this has been useful and prepare for this binary catalyst in the market with the federal chair announcements and Jackson Hole. So, trade safe, and we'll talk later.
Hey, good morning, Norm.
Hey, good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing out there in BBT chat room? Hey, everyone, YouTube land. How's everyone doing today? Can everyone hear me okay? All right, we got the chat rooms going good. All right, looks like we're rocking. How's it going today, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Kid kept me up a little bit, but other than that, everything is good. How about you?
Same druthers. My daughter's is still 9, but she has autism, so she makes her own schedule. So last night was party night with dad up till about 2:30 in the morning. And then I
Wow.
woke up, 5:30, 6 o'clock, start getting ready for this thing. So the
Uh,
joys.
well, maybe you can do some trading early and then head on out and catch a nap.
Yeah, hey, we'll see what this market looks like. Might just be a my pillow day. Maybe I can just go take a nap
I
right
think
after
it
we're
is a
done with
my
this.
pillow kind of day. I saw that. I come in pretty early and start looking over stuff. And when I walked in, we had you, and YY on the list. And I was like, oh, this is the first thing that popped in
Yeah,
my head is my pillow day.
you're like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Yeah. So
Cool. Yeah.
anyway.
So speaking of that, let's see here. You can come in here. All right, so you can see we've got a little bit coming up on the gappers today, like Norm was saying. Basically, the first thing on was UUU, and if you look down through the list, there's probably not a whole lot that's jumping out at you. Notice on the gap downers, we've got DLTR, maybe JWN might play again. It played yesterday a little bit. AMC was a little fun. Other than that, looks like the pretty much same stuff. Maybe INO on the gap up. So it'll be interesting to see, what kind of good stuff we get today.
Yeah, man. So, we've got Jackson Hole, the economic symposium starting up today, runs through Saturday. Jerome Powell's speaking tomorrow. We've got two speakers today. The only one I had actually scheduled on the schedule is 3 p.m. That's the Dallas Fed president. But there is another one speaking at some point today, so keep an eye on that. Initial jobless claims and continuing claims just came out a few minutes ago in the second quarter GDP revision. So SPY is heading lower at the moment. I didn't see that number come across the wire, so I don't know if that's the cause of that. But yeah.
Yeah, Spy looks like it's still staying like just kind of in this top range, just this slow push towards 150 that I don't. The Spy can move $100 in a few months, and it's gonna take it another few months to move like $2. It's like
Yeah, to
crazy.
450. Yep. It's weird when it gets up against those walls for sure. So
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see here. So yeah, so let's go ahead and we'll
So I,
start.
I want to clear up for so two things, Thor, before you hop in and get going. So somebody mentioned Mike Lindell over in the thing, and yes, my
Oh,
pillow, obviously that's Mike Lindell, but my pillow means it's from a long time ago. Carlos asked me that one of these sleepy mornings when the gappers kind of looked bad, and he said, "What do you like this morning?" And I said, "My pillow." Complete no reference to
yeah.
that company, just meaning going back to bed. So anyway, that's where that comes from. Number one. Number two,
Yeah, I
Carlos
forget about
texted
the
me.
brand.
Yeah, it doesn't even have anything to do with that. It clings to it because of the brand that you see the commercials for all the time. But that having been said, Carlos texted me about half an hour ago or so, and he wanted me to make sure to tell everybody in the community thank you from him and his wife for all of the well wishes. They are getting some rest and reading through those, and much love to everybody here. So thank you all very, very much.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Much love for our boy Carlos. Absolutely. I for one am looking forward to him coming back. Not that I don't love doing this pre-market show, but man, this guy's got a busy job.
Yep,
All right, let's see here. Especially when you
big shoes to fill.
All right, let's see here. There it is. All right, I lost my slide. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and get kicking here and get into the thing. So I'm going to go through, like Carlos normally does, I'm going to go through yesterday's watch list, take a look at a couple of things, see how that performed, and then we're going to pop over to the gappers and just do a quick scan through there, put a couple things on watch for now, and then we'll do some community events things, and then we'll do a finalize of our list and throw down some levels. So for now, going into yesterday's list, we did have some interesting things on there. Taiwan Semiconductor, for instance. Let me go to get a 5-minute chart going here. There we go. Taiwan Semiconductor. Actually, what I'm going to do here for just a second is let me just make this whole chart bigger so it shows a little bit better on YouTube. Taiwan Semiconductor opened up really well yesterday and had a just absolutely solid run. If you got in on the opening break on Taiwan Semiconductor, you did well. If you waited till around 10:30 to try and trade it, you did not do well because after it got up there, it did nothing. Our favorite stock of yesterday, not necessarily because of performance, but just because Brian calling it out, was DKS. And every time he went long DKS, the room had a pretty hilarious reaction. But DKS made a really big press right at the open, actually looked quite strong, and then just stalled out. This can happen a lot with these stocks that have a heavy gap in the pre-market and do most of their moving before the market really even gets open. Often you just hit quick value and then chop. DKS was solid for that. We appreciate it.
You're chopping dicks.
Exactly. Kept saying long. I'm sorry, that was so funny. I about lost it in the room when that happened. So we've got Express Inc. Express Inc. actually had a pretty nice sell-off today or yesterday, which we were able to enjoy. But other than that, once the big sell-off was finished, we had a little bit of a nice reversal. If you caught Jared's level previous day close, King of Levels, I just want you to highlight here in the middle, previous day close down here. The stock sold to previous day's close and bounced from previous day close. So that level was holding true for Jared that day. We also looked at Kingsoft Cloud. That one did not perform well at all. And then AMC, and AMC ended up, we had a couple of really good opportunities with AMC. Also playing off of around the previous day close area for this big squeeze, but then got really nasty. So if you struggled yesterday a little bit, you can kind of see why. We went through the list. We hit like 5 top stocks that we were kind of peeking at, and we had a lot of chopping. We also on secondaries we had Sava, JWN. Those ended up actually performing a little bit better. Sava had a really nice rally. JWN had a really nice sell down to previous day's close again. And we made some use out of those. So had a really good time with those and ended up finding some good trades though. So today in our gappers list, let's go ahead and clear the old list for now. And I need to watch Carlos's hotkey thing that he does again for creating new spots, because he does that in 5 seconds and it takes me forever. So let's go ahead and get into UUU. UUU is Universal Security Instruments. It's an $8 stock sitting around a flow of 2 million, so we can probably slide that into the short float area, or in the small floats. And you can see here we did have a bit of a rally after hours yesterday, and it finds itself kind of bumping around here in this $8 range. We got anything going on with the U's today, Norm?
Yeah, give me just a second. Sorry, let me pull up my notes here. Actually, I don't see anything, but just heads up, this one has been in play for a day or two. 2 million share float, so not surprised to see a little bit of continued activity in it, but I didn't see anything fresh as of this morning. If somebody has some fresh news, throw it out there. But
right on,
this
maybe
one's
a second
been
day
going
play
for a couple
or
of days. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll roll through these because I have a feeling a couple of these aren't going to be like glorious, and if you have some good news on one of them, just kind of, just talk over me. So we got NRXP. NRXP, which is a pharmaceutical, looking pretty choppy here in the pre-market. Did have a little bit of movement yesterday let me get to a 5-minute here so we can look at yesterday a little easier. Yesterday we did sell down into a little bit, back down to previous day's close and some daily levels, and then we find ourselves today in a rally. So definitely a little bit going on with NRXP. Not sure if it's a worthy play or not.
They've got a COVID therapy. They've partnered with Cardinal Health, I believe, to
Hmm.
help get that to market.
So that's anything COVID these days can offer opportunities. Often people tend to target those kind of tickers, so it might be worth keeping an eye on. YY, which is Joy Inc. $60 plus stock, 53 million float, 55% held by institutions. So about half retailers involved. Got ourselves gapping up in the pre-market really good. Some really nice wiki prints. And then now finds itself just kind of bumping around in here. Let's see here.
Rumors of a take private by one of the executives here, but I've seen a number of these recently, and I'm not saying it's not the case, but there's been a few of these that have come out with Chinese companies recently, and the company then comes out to say, nope, this is all bogus, and the stock drops like a rock. So just keep an eye out for that. Don't get stuck in something.
Yeah, that's one of those executive campaigns. They want to raise the price. They throw a little rumor out there. Everyone starts buying in. Price goes up, and then they sell all their shares off, and everyone else is left holding the bag.
Yep.
Yeah, that's real. TG. Come on. There we go. My DOS was taking just a little bit of second to load. Earnings last night on PSTG. It has it on a nice gap. Pre-market action. We'll just go with Carlos as less than stellar. So sucks is probably a better word. All right. INO. I've played INO Pharma a couple of times, maybe like a year or two ago. Looks like it's been stuck in a like $7 to $10 range for, I'm going to just go with ever. So, I mean, it's really been doing that for a long time. Finds itself pressing up in the pre-market. Anything interesting on INO today?
They got authorization to have a phase 3 study for their COVID vaccine. So,
oh, nice. That's not bad. All right, so maybe keep an eye on INO. I mean, might not be the strongest list in the whole world, so I'll start with INO. That's the first one I've seen that I find overtly interesting. Vivos sounds familiar. Vivos Therapeutics. Charts make me nervous. So,
this one moves like crazy, man. This was in play. This has been in play for the last several days, and had some insane moves. So just use caution if you even consider looking at that.
Crazy gap a few days ago, and then ran a couple of bucks on high volume. Yeah, I can see. Notice after that, the next couple of days all really narrow. So if you are looking to play Vivos, if you're a bag, a new maybe pre-market high, above this 560 area might be kind of fun. But that's not going to be my bag, so I'm gonna leave that off. Let's see. Going over to Snowflake Inc. Has itself gapped up. I actually find the daily chart on this one pretty interesting. We have this big hammer candle back on the 20th on high volume. Some kind of buy-in happened there. Something big squeezed it up. A couple of rally days, and now finds itself gapped. So if you're into playing the $300, $290, $300 price range, this stock might actually be something for you. Pre-market action less than stellar, but not surprising on stocks that have this price range. Pre-markets can also be a little weak.
Snow generally isn't a really great intraday trading stock. Let me look up its average daily volume. It wasn't in my research because it hadn't been on the gappers list. They did have, it's got 4 million shares a day. It's not too terrible. I will say, I mean, if you look, I was looking at it a moment ago. Now that the spread has tightened up, but it was over $1 just a minute ago. So keep an eye on the spread. Make sure it's got volume if you're even going to consider it.
Yeah, on prior, one thing I'm noticing here with what you're saying is on prior days, even though small, it seems like it moves gaps really early and late, and then spends its day doing nothing and just chopping around. So keep that in mind, y'all. We had this big move after hours on whatever catalyst it's got. That's popped it up. Now it finds itself just kind of stuck in this area. So it could just be a chop fest. So
it moves weird, man. I'd be real cautious considering that one.
Sava moved around a little bit yesterday and provided some opportunities, so I'll throw that one on. I do like the daily, this inverted hammer on high volume. I find that very interesting. So, for lack of Cassava Sciences, for lack of a better option, that this might be something to keep an eye on. Not totally stoked about it, but I mean, price range isn't horrible. Spread could be better. So, but we'll see how the pre-market comes together. What do we got? Salesforce.com on the gappers. I know CRM played well, maybe what was it, like 6 months ago or something like that.
They had earnings last night. I don't like how it trades personally, but maybe somebody else does.
Yeah, I hear you. I do actually recall I traded it, and it might have actually been earnings like 1 or 2 quarters ago. And I do remember it not being the world's best trader. It did have a big opportunity when it sold off here. It ran pretty good, but now we find ourselves gapping up, and we're already really high. I mean, is this all-time highs for CRM? Or I mean, it's at least all-time highs for the past year or so. So this thing really finds itself going. All right, let's
No, its all-time high is up
yeah.
around 285, I believe, from a little over a year ago.
Okay. So we're getting there quick then. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Again, I'm with Norm. This one maybe not the best intraday trader, but if you're a swing trader or you play longer time frames, may still provide you an opportunity. I'm gonna pop over to the gap down. We got SLQT. Pretty interesting looking. We got a nice gap down. If you're into the lower price stocks like $10, we find ourselves gap down into $10 on some volume. So something going on with Select Quote Inc.
They had
today.
earnings last night.
So let's
usually trades on really low volume. It's around 1 million shares a day traded on average. That having been said, they have a catalyst. They had earnings, so it could actually be active. Just make sure it has the volume if you're looking at that. Jonathan over on YouTube, thank you for the super chat. All those donations being matched dollar for dollar by Andrew, going to autism research this month.
And as an autism parent, I really, really appreciate that. That's really huge. So it's a charity that's near and dear to me. So I really appreciate all the help out there from YouTube and the chat room on getting those going in. Yeah, so SLQT, let's I'll keep it on the list and we can take a look at it, see if it maybe gets a little bit better. One thing I think you guys should hear too with Norm, he keeps saying make sure it's got volume, make sure it's got order flow, and if you're looking for successful day trading, that needs to be your mentality at almost all times. You can't manage a risky position if it's just bouncing to places and you can't really predict where it's going to go, or at least hedge against where it's going to go.
You've got to have liquidity. You got to have order flow going through it.
100%. So we got, speaking of, we have a TCAT here, 7 million on the float. Has had a couple of interesting days the past couple of days. Solid volume for the stock. I mean, definitely higher than normal volume, so it's certainly in play. Found itself doing 2 good pushes. Now sitting around $10. So I'm a little on the lower float side. So I'll actually.
And it's got a nasty spread too. I saw it. It was at 15 cents, which is for a $10 stock, 1.5% move. You got to be really careful. Watch that spread. It might tighten up at the market open. As you mentioned, lower float, 7 million shares, 248,000 traded so far this morning. Usually on those low floats, I want to see a lot more volume than that pre-market.
For sure. Looks like we got DLTR and DG, so that's Dollar Tree and Dollar General. Do they always report on the same day? Is that just like their
It's
thing?
pretty close, or they like morning and then the evening and the morning, but yeah, they're always around the same time. I don't know why they decided to do that.
And they're like, well, we have similar names, so let's just report at the same time.
So
I'm gonna throw them on the list because I have seen them perform for well, but the pre-market action on Dollar Tree is horrible right now. Finds itself sitting right at $100. Kind of had like this. I mean, even the pop that it did when the earnings news started to circulate is horrible. So this one, I don't know about this. Finds itself on the daily with this really bizarre upside down. So I don't know. This might not be something to watch. I'll keep it on the list for now, just to see. But yeah. Dollar General Corporation also finding itself lacking a little direction and volume today. But gap down. This one's daily chart looks a little bit better. I mean, we had a nice narrow consolidation up at 235, established value, lost the averages. Now we find ourselves gapping down. This at least structurally looks a little bit better. But again, we're going to stick with Norm's theme of the day. Order flow and volume, and we got none of those going on right now on this one. So we'll check this one out a little closer to the open. Maybe something will come in. Hut 8 mining, no. Just kidding. I'm not feeling Hut 8 mining. Looks kind of just chop and nasty. Unless there's something I don't like the range on it either. I'm not even sure how this qualifies as a gap down, but I guess it was up at 7. Now I don't know. So I'm probably going to push past this one and get through a couple. Abercrombie and Fitch finds itself very indecisive this morning. Pre-market action, not great at all. Probably some retail's been doing earnings, so I assume that.
Yeah, earnings this morning.
Yeah. So came down at, it basically looks like so far in the pre-market, we've just set a range from $34 to $42. So I guess we won't have to find levels on this one. But if you intend to play this one, just notice it's a $38 stock and it's already wiki ranged to 42 all the way down to 34. That means the spread's not going to be fantastic. We've got low order flow and volume, theme of the day. May not want to do that one, but we'll check it out. Looks like we got some Bitcoin. Oh, they've switched on me. AMC moving in the pre-market. AMC has been providing opportunities. I find today a little bit interesting. We had a really hard squeeze 2 days ago, and then yesterday on high volume set an upside down hammer at value $44 or VPOC. So I want to see what's going to happen here. If we kind of squeeze back to VWAP on our 1 minute chart and lose it, AMC might be primed to come back down into this range. If it's rejecting this attempt to break out from here, we might come back to the bottom of the range. So could get a good short play today on it. If not, you'll have to pay attention because we're already kind of high up, so it might take it and chop for a while if it's going to try and break out. But we might get a good short op on AMC. So AMC will be on the list today. Mara Bitcoin plays still kind of going. You guys know what to do on these. We've been marking levels and taking a look at the Mara and the Bitcoins. Just remember, you're basically trading an ETF. Even though it's, where you're just, as Bitcoin goes up and down, these stocks are going to go up and down. I find them very difficult to trade for me personally, because every time I feel like I have a good read on it, Bitcoin goes the other direction and then they drop. So we'll see how that goes. Anything interesting in that sector there, Norm? Or
no, Bitcoin's down a little bit. It was over 50 earlier in the week. It's sitting right at 47,000 now. So they're just pulling back with the underlying asset, really. Even though somebody did point out, we had a conversation in the room about it's not a one-for-one correlation there, how these trade versus Bitcoin, but they're definitely, much like oil companies, oil, the underlying commodity for oil moves, and usually the oil companies follow to a degree, but same thing with these. So I agree with you. They're not my favorite.
Right on. Yeah, exactly. FU to you. Or
FU to you.
To get this morning started out proper. In Carlos's honor, I had to say the full acronym. FUTU, looking like it normally does every day. I do not enjoy this stock. I haven't traded it in, I don't know, ever. So I just find it's just kind of pulling these narrow ranges. Low order flow and no volume today, so just let it do its thing. JWN did play a little bit yesterday when it did this big push down on volume, so might be on for a second day play. So I'll probably leave JWN on since it's gapping down some more. Whoop, that's not the right one. There we go. There we go. All right, cool. And then Riot's going to be with the Bitcoin stuff and BTB also. So you're going to have Mara, BTB, and Riot all Bitcoin plays. So if you're looking to play Bitcoin, but you don't want to use one of those programs where you share Bitcoin with like 1 million people using $1, this is probably the best way to get into it. All right, so before we get into the polls, I grab a couple of just a couple of quick tickers. Anybody seeing anything in the BBT chat room that you find interesting this morning that looks going through? I'll take three from each. Three
I'm
three
gonna
from.
throw you one. Ride is definitely in play today. It's not on the gappers list because ATR, but they've got a new CEO associated with Carl Icahn and his companies, and that is getting some interest in there.
All right, yeah, I like that too. Ride nice gap up on the daily. So if you're looking to play something in the lower price, this actually looks really good. 'Cause we've got the big gap up, we got the move. Hopefully these will start. This might even
And it's
start
got a
hitting
high
my
short
list here pretty
float,
soon. High short
28%.
float, so we can definitely do some stuff here. Let's see what else we got. I think we already looked at CRM, at least briefly.
Yeah, we did.
MU. Someone saying MU after the crazy ride it had yesterday. It did actually have this big pushed inverted hammer here on some volume. Right now, pre-market not looking beautiful, but it's hanging right around previous day close. So we'll come back and take a look at that one a little closer to open. A lot of like these chip stocks seem to kick in like a little like around 9:10 or 9:15. More volume starts coming into them. And let's see, and then WDC out of the chat room. Someone says a news pop on WDC. So looks like there was for sure after the close yesterday. We had ourselves a bit of a pop that ended up giving us a
Got
fairly
no
strong
volume,
looking
man.
candle. So, but yeah, I was gonna
Got
say
38,000 shares this morning.
exactly. We got no volume on this thing. So if it is gonna play, it'd probably be a secondary list. You're gonna need this thing to wake up. And then maybe get some, but I like the catalyst idea. So, well, and I certainly popped yesterday, finds itself in a good range, but we need that vital component. We need that order flow before this thing's going to be ready to rock and roll. All right, popped over YouTube Landia. We got Plug and EFTR. So let's go ahead with those. We're going to do Plug a
No
little low
volume.
volume this morning. So that's kind of the theme for us guys when we're looking for stuff that's in play. One of the main things that we got to target on and look at is order flow and volume. I do like Plug that's been in a consolidation for a little while, but you're finding yourself deadpan middle of previous day's candle. So it would be difficult for me to play Plug at the open at all. I would want to see it come up and test some daily levels, either previous day's close or previous day's open, right? And check out what's going in there and see if you maybe break out. But for now, Plug, not really there for me. Let's see here. Someone said EFTR. My DOS is taking a minute to load. Hold on.
No, it's not your DOS.
Oh,
It's
that's
a
not my DOS.
it's a new ticker. I believe this is
So this,
just despacked
okay.
as of this morning, I think. But
All right, Effector Therapeutics. I'm gonna lean away from this one. I have no idea how I would even factor in this one. So yeah, EFTR is not gonna be a go for me. I just wouldn't know how to play it. DKNG, and then we'll do Nvidia, and then we'll get some community.
yeah,
Community stuff going.
we've got to get moving. We're running a little bit behind here.
I'll rock through levels
That's
really
all
fast.
right.
DKNG, low order flow at the beginning, but great day yesterday, breaking out on a couple of really bullish days on building volume. So you got to like that. The only concern I have on DKNG, volume a little high. So we might actually consolidate here, maybe do an ABCD on the daily off of this. But good looking ticker otherwise. Nvidia likewise, little low volume in the morning, a little algo-y actually, but has found itself pressing. Nvidia is the opposite for me though. Look, as Nvidia is pushed, we've had declining volume to the upside. So be careful with Nvidia. We may actually be topping out. We might come back down to the 200 range. All right, so that'll wrap up going through the gappers for now. We'll come back and throw some levels on in a few minutes. Until then, we're gonna go ahead and cut over to community events with Norm. Norm, all yours, brother.
All right, man. So Jared's webinar on previous day close that we discussed a few minutes ago and how effective that level is, that is posted in the Education Center if you did not get a chance to catch it. Next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, you're going to have Thor talking about tape reading 101. I'm sure that will be a well-attended webinar. Can't wait to watch it myself. I know you're working hard putting that one together. So looking forward to it, brother. And then last night was the Dr. Katz down hall. We will have that posted very soon if you were not able to attend it, but he moderates conversation between two traders in the community talking about the trading journey.
These are some of my favorite segments he's doing now. I really
Yeah,
like
they're pretty
these.
cool. All right. The charity of the month this month is Autism Research. Last month was American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, raised about $260. Matched dollar for dollar by Andrew. I know we're already well over that number, but any super chat revenue donated on YouTube is matched by Andrew and contributing to this charity of the month. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day with entries and exits. Add any commentary you can to describe the trade posted on Twitter. Tag at Bear Bull Traders at MikeB_BBT and at NormBBT. Also use the hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We'll pick a winner each day, announce it on Twitter and in the room at the end of the day. All those trades of the day are eligible for trade of the week, which is voted on by the team over the weekend and announced on Monday. If you're watching on YouTube, first of all, we'll sincerely appreciate hitting the like button. It really does help us out. And then if you'd like to check out the room, use the promo code PREMARKET24. When you get to the homepage, you can scroll down, find that test drive button. You enter the promo code PREMARKET24 at checkout, and that'll get you a discount. It is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It doesn't auto-renew or turn into another kind of membership. You actively have to go choose to become a member after it cancels itself. Also, if you want to become an elite member, use the promo code SUMMER40 to become an elite member at a 40% discount.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Norm, for going all through that for us. All right, everyone. It's 9:05, so we've got about 10, 15 minutes here to rock through some levels and get some stuff put in for you guys already. So I'm going to go back into our list that we've already got in. And then after that, once we have that, I'll go back out to the room and YouTube land and see if anything has popped up. If you guys see anything interesting or noteworthy, feel free to call it out in the chat. Don't spam me or anything, but feel free to call it out in the chat. I may dip over to that and see what we got going on. So for first, let's go ahead and go over to INO. So INO, I'm going to go big on this chart as we look at the daily. INO Pharmaceuticals has played before. You can see we have had some good rallies on this thing when it gets into Catalyst and good play. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one and see what it ends up doing overall. Right now on INO, we have some slightly obvious areas that we can go ahead and claim. So notice the top of the previous day's high is going to be an obvious level that we're going to go on to. I actually have my charts auto draw this in most instances. And then we're going to go ahead and look up here. Notice how we have this value area that's already established at what is the current pre-market high on INO, right? So that's definitely going to be worth playing pre-market high. I already have pre-market high auto draws. There's a few levels. I call it the big four. Pre-market high, pre-market low, opening price, and yesterday's close, or PDC, previous day's close. I have the DOS auto draw those 4 levels for me every single day, and with them, you can do a lot of trading. So should we come down and go into yesterday's or the previous day's candle, we're going to be looking to play the open price from that previous day and these little candle wicks here. That does us good. If we break out, then there's no reason we can't get rocking and rolling, and we're going to be looking for top side, probably somewhere at the top of this range, and then we'll do one more out from there, just in case we really get rocking and rolling, and I would like to go somewhere right around the high right up for this candle. We got big indecision that happened here. We've wicked to that area before. We noticed we find ourselves right under $10, so keep an eye on your level 2. At $10 if we start to approach that area looking for large sellers. If there's too large of a selling wall there, then we're probably going to encounter resistance again. If we got a good ladder above, then maybe we break that out if this thing gets running. But who knows if we make all that ground today, but if we do, that'll be a fun one to try and play. All right, let's go into Sava. Sava actually played pretty well yesterday. It had a big and then stuffed. as you can see here, and we closed out, but a ton of volume, absolute ton of volume here, which we really like after the hold. So I'm going to be really watching some levels like this one on Sava, right? I want to watch previous day's close is going to be the main level to watch because I want to see. All right, sorry, that's yesterday's open. I mean, is going to be really big to watch as we come back and hold that. If it loses yesterday's open in any factor, previous day's close is going to be king. Notice we've already came down to test previous day's close once, and we're already moving back up. So a little back test of yesterday's open, and maybe we move if we can. No reason we can't run this entire candle, right, up to around 96.50. That's awfully precise. Isn't that fun? And if we decide to get out and get going from a little bit of that, $100 always has to be marked. That's going to be psychological. And then we're going to be looking for somewhere up in this range. I'm thinking, if you notice here, right at the top here of all of these candles, this low here, right through there, we call that 110. So if this thing gets rolling, those are some fun levels that I think could really come into play on it. All right, let's keep going here. CRM finds itself gapped up. I don't think this is all-time highs. I think Norm said 280 something before. However, it's definitely the highest it's been in quite some time. Obviously gapping on some catalyst, finds itself pushing up. One thing I find interesting on it is that we've rallied and we've already had some big volume bars to the downside. So this was already accumulated before it went. So we've got some long-term participants in here already. Let me see if I can pull up CRM here. And if you notice something here on the TI, the CRM is held by 77% by institutions, right? So that means banks love CRM. So you've got a lot of big holding participants in here, not as much retail, big float on this thing. So looks like we've got that. What I would be looking for if this decides to play today is obviously you're going to have, because we're gapped out, we have no real relative levels in history. So I'm going to be going actually to look at the pre-market levels. So the main ones I'll play will be pre-market high and pre-market low will be my two main levels that I'm going to be factoring in. And then if we pop into the 5-minute chart, because we'll pull some intra levels off the 5-minute. Notice at 268, we find ourselves with a really high value area at 268. Right, so if we cannot break out and make new highs, I'm going to look for a return to VWAP and or 268 to see if it supports and bidding comes in on the tape. If it does, then we can try and play CRM long there. If it does not, then it may provide a short opportunity and actually try and close and fill the gap. So we'll have to see how that one plays. All right, SLQT gap down. Same thing here. I won't mark these because I'm not going to play this one, but pre-market high, pre-market low are going to be your key levels, and then look for some intraday levels that have been held like $10 here at VWAP. That's probably going to be really solid for you. Dollar Tree already finds itself on the way down. I do not like this at all. This big, I don't really understand how I'm going to even conceive playing this stock today. But there's a really obvious downside level right here at 97.15-ish to 97.50. So we're going to be watching that heavily. If it loses that, then maybe we get continued selling. But we've got some levels right below that in close supply there and there. If for some reason we bounce and squeeze, I'm actually going to be looking to come back up to right around these areas right here. So you can see we have value area in the middle of this consolidation range that we dipped into before, and then we've got these lower levels here. So in the near term, that's going to be looking to what we play. If we pull back, like I said, I'm going to look for a pullback to 100 and then short for the flush. Okay, let's go ahead and pop down to DG. DG finds itself very similar. I really like the top of this candle back here, so we're just going to go ahead and mark that. We already find ourselves near it. If we decide to continue to pull back, I'm going to look for a pullback up to the bottom of this value zone here, up at 228.70. If we start to drop better, I'm going to look for probably right around 215.90. We have a nice move here that got retested and supported. I like that. And if we continue down, I'm going to go to value down here at 212. All right, AMC. AMC's been fun. I talked about this a little bit before. Let's see. AMC found itself gapping up, big volume a couple days ago. Yesterday, put in this really inverted hammer, this really nice inverted hammer on high volume, considering the opening and closing prices relationship to each other. Today, we find ourselves back testing, or we found ourselves retesting previous day's close already, and now making lower lows. So if you shorted previous day's close and used Jared's King of Levels, then you're already kind of in something right now. And we're going to be looking for this thing to move down. If it starts to drop and go down, I'm going to look for it to come back down and bump into the top of this lower established range that it just broke out from. See if we get a test around 40 to 38.79. We'll look at the level 2 and see where all the bids are sitting. If for some reason we go into a rally, then I'm going to play. I would be looking at confirmation of the break of $45. If we get the break of 45, then let's see if this thing goes and tries to run for $50. I know the level 2 was pretty strong to the top side yesterday, but it'll be interesting to see exactly how it pans today. Right now, any of the higher orders I'm actually seeing most of them to the downside. So we'll see what happens there. All right, JWN, more down today. Look for a back test of $31 if it happens. Looks like it's poised to continue to move lower. Let's see. We talked about Ride. These are the ones out of the room that I grabbed earlier, so now I'm going to go through these. We got Ride here, big gap up on the lower price. Ride does move at times when it gets catalyst. Norm, I know, is taking a peek at this one. Notice where we kind of dropped and fell here off of 70.26, and then if we come back a little bit, look at these lows right here, and we find ourselves already sitting there. So if Ride gives up a little profit today, I would love to see this thing come back and test right around this area here. We had this previous test of not $6, and if it holds those, it'd be a good spot to get long. A lot of these stocks that gap up like this, they sell first, so be careful, because they'll come down, sell back into range, more buying will come in, and then they'll do their breakout. So you got to keep an eye on this one. Might be a little fun. MU, let's see, the 1 minute, still finding itself without volume, so I'm not going to check that one. WC, little volume coming in now, had a big move yesterday, so let's keep an eye on value on WC, around $65. Dollars, a little north of that, 65.25. And then after that, let's look at the big four. So we're going to be probably playing pre-market high, right, and pre-market low to see how this shakes out, right? WDC looks very indecisive right now. If it picks a direction here outside of this pre-market candle, probably going to be playable. So we'll check that out. Plug was called, narrow band on there, still no volume, so I'll skip that. DKNG also lacking volume, but that's not unusual for DKNG. One thing I like about DKNG is the high volume push. Might be time for this thing to sell and consolidate a little bit, maybe do an ABCD on the daily, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Nvidia finds itself pushing on low volume, so Nvidia I'm actually kind of thinking it might turn over, so I'm going to look for it to test the previous day's close again, see if it comes back and bumps that, and if not, it holds down, and then the key levels to the downside we'll be looking at are these consolidation right after the indecision numbers here. All right, it is 9:17. I'm gonna go ahead and just go out to the general room and start just looking at a couple things until Brian and Andrew get here. Anything, anybody in the in YouTube land out there? Anything you guys particularly wanting to look at now that the markets pre-market's been going for a little while? Anything jumping out at you? SPRT. SPRT, this is support.com. I remember this was on the list yesterday and still a little bit now. I found this stock a little difficult to trade yesterday. One thing I do find really interesting about it is big upside down hammer on high volume, and then we find ourselves gapped up and now indecisive on lower volume, right? So it'll be interesting to see how support plays. Will it rally and stuff? Maybe. The volume kind of insinuates that could happen. So so with that being known, the levels I'm going to be looking at are previous day's close, right around $14. I'm going to be looking at pre-market, which is also pre-market low, And I'm going to be looking at pre-market high. And then actually I'm going to be checking out the level right here at the top of this candle where we obviously encountered heavy selling and then got pushed back down. So right now we find ourselves very, very narrow. If we hold here or come down and then lose previous day's close at $14, could be a nice short opportunity to come back down towards the moving averages and see if something happens. Ride we already looked through. Zoom, ZM, one more from the YouTube, Zoom, and then we'll pop back over. All right, Zoom. So Zoom, I like Zoom and where it's at and how I find it gapping at 350. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of on Zoom is the VPA. Normally, if you're going to get a good reversal on the daily that's going to come up, you quite often will have a large volume event down here, and it's showing that shorts started to cover and that large buyers or retail participants and financial institutions have started to come in to take larger stake in the position. I don't see the volume there. Rather, I see us rallying or consolidating and pushing a little bit on declining volume. So we do find ourselves up a little bit in at 350, so it might be worth keeping an eye on. But you can see over the past few days, Zoom has put in some very lackluster, ranges and days. So you're really going to want to wait for the volume to come through and the order flow to come through before this was going to confirm. If anything, as I'm reading it now, I would actually look for Zoom to maybe do a slight rally at the open back up to maybe 355. And, $5 on Zoom isn't a huge move. Come back up to there, bump the average, and then maybe try and sell back down to go lower. That's how it looks right now. So unless some kind of volume signal comes in to let us know otherwise, then we'll have to see what happens. All right, what else we got here? I'm going to pop over to the BBT chat room. Brian, the Prophet of Profit, is putting out YY. So I'm going to go over, and the room's calling that one. So let's do one more, and let's check out YY. All right, so YY is on the gappers, and it has found itself popping up quite a bit. Good float, short float, or sorry, hold on. Let me pop over. Let me get YY on here. Let's see. Okay, float. I don't have numbers for the short float on. This is Joy. In the 1 minute, we definitely have been moving around quite a bit. I think the only thing we're going to have to concern ourselves with here is spread. It looks like the spread on this one's a little rough. So, oh, wow. Yeah, it just started to... See how quickly this thing stair-stepped down 60 cents, right? You have a stock that's trading in a 20-cent range, and then it immediately stair-steps down, right, and drops like that. That is the concern. Right, that's why we want. Thank you, Peter. 12.6% short float on this one. This is kind of why we're careful, even with these stocks and they're moving. Why we get a little weary of these, because risk management can get very difficult on these. You put your stop right below this area right here, and then when the stock breaks through it, by the time your spread fills and you hit your spread, you actually get stopped out somewhere down here. Right, and you end up encountering 15, 20 cents of slippage with if you're carrying 1,000 or 2,000 shares, that can be very detrimental to your day, slipping out an extra few $100s when you weren't expecting to. So we'll have to keep an eye on that for sure. All right. What else you got? I normally do the moderators list. That's normally what Paul he does here. So while we're waiting for Andrew and Brian, let me pull up for just a second. I forgot about that. I normally do that. Oh, there's the boss. So I'll just verbally run through real quick. Tesla and Apple's on Mike's break a high a day scanners, and I already said Brian's. Dima's looking at Apple, XPEV, Novo, and Ride, and then I'll get my list posted up here in a little bit. Good morning, gentlemen. How's it going?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you so much for the great show. Filling Carlos' shoes, it's not easy.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Norm, so taking over. I'm gonna share my screen as well. Those are friends on YouTube. You be careful of listening it because you are delayed, so like 10, 15 cents. So remember that you are listening in the past, not real time. Um, I am going to share my screen as well. I'm not particularly excited about anything. What about you, Brian?
No, I can't say that I'm overly excited about much here. Dollar Tree kind of possible rising devil trade. Um, yeah, like I said, I'm not super excited about anything yet, but lots of red on the screen today.
Nordstrom is doing back as well. So Ride is interesting, that's for sure. But it's a lower price stock, and I'm so bad at trading these lower prices. Like, it's not a low float stock. The float is 110 million shares, but unfortunately, is just. I really like SPRT volume and price range, but yesterday traded really jerky. Um, uh, yeah, I know my audio is choppy. I don't know what's the issue. To be honest with you, uh, just be patient a little bit. Maybe it's fixed. Um, NRXP. NRXP is interesting too. Yeah, Baba is down. Why did you put Billy in your
I think it
watch
was
list?
just a play on the. I just looked at all the Chinese stocks, and Billy's down the most right now. So everything's down. JD, Baidu, Baba, KWeb, the ETF, but Billy's down the most. It's down almost 2%. So I just chose that one. But I'm looking for weakness in all the Chinese stocks today. Billy.
NRXP is also
I don't know.
selling off.
Yeah. I think this was. Yeah. I think. Yeah. I played both. I paid this KWeb bounce both times when it got really oversold. Um, and I'm out of it again now, and I kind of feel like it's gonna. It still's in a downtrend, so I was just playing bounces for swing trades, but until it really shows some bottoming action on a daily chart, I don't know if the bottom is in here. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not really crazy about anything. I definitely look at all the watch lists that people mentioned, like YY stuff, but I'm not really crazy. Like YY is gapping up really nicely, but a little bit the price action in the pre-market went up to 66, and now it's at 63. Makes it a little bit tough to trade. In terms of level, we definitely have this level at 65. A very small level back at around here, 63, 64, as you see, bounce back in the pre-market. Let's see how it's been traded. Is it a good order flow or not? Few minutes to the open. And AMC is doing nothing. Good old AMD. Yeah, look at AMD right now. It's on the other chart. Right now it's at 108, doing some stuff.
Dollar
Why
Tree.
drop at the open?
Yeah,
I
Dollar Tree
mean,
is
nobody
dropping.
really
Billy's
knows.
dropping.
Nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen. YY is above the VWAP, might go down, might go up. What's the float on YY? Anyone knows?
We said it was like
Handy?
about 56 million, 58 million.
58 million, not bad, not bad.
Yeah, Dollar Tree looks kind of interesting for a rising devil trade. It's really the only thing I'm kind of excited about. So I'll be watching the scanners as well. I've added
Yeah,
Penn to
it's
my
gonna come
list,
up.
PENN.
Yeah, it's gonna come up 100%. Don't even have a doubt for a second that this is gonna go up. Show us a really good thing. Just be patient. Don't take anything less than par with no trade book. Oh, it's gonna show up. I mean, the worst case scenario, you wait for 10, 15 minutes. It's gonna something come. There's so many traders out there waiting for something to jump on it, so it's gonna show up. Like when everybody thought that okay, this is the last week of August, then AMC exploded and gave really good opportunities the last 2 days. Just a game of patience. This is a hand that in the poker that you fold. You just fold and check. Yeah, apparently the issue is with the
There we go.
with internet from Thor. So all right, so the market is open. SRPT. I like the volume on SRPT. AMC is a strong. AMC is in play. Love it. I like the volume on AMC. Let's take a look at the AMC. We do have shares for short. Wait for a minute or so for an AMC to settle.
Yeah, just waiting here for things to settle out a bit.
AMC potential. Spread is. Yeah, AMC went opening range break. I might go green for the day, but not tradable yet, for me at least. What else do we have? Right sold off. Right has a really good volume.
I'm just
660.
shorted
We
a
are
bit
long
of
on right. It's 667. Let's see if
just
right
shorted a
can
bit
go
of
up.
Billy 77.85. Let's just see if it's gonna reject here.
Taking a long on 6067 on right for hold the VWAP. Let's see if he can go for the higher pre-market. Sold.
BYI.
Sold 89.
Just got long some BYSI too.
Long. I think right is going to go to 7. Handcuff. Megan, bring my handcuff.
Just
That
sold some
was
BYSI through that for that on that pop. Looking for Billy to drop some more here. 77.20 if it makes it. Still holding BYSI.
what AMC doing. AMC rejected. I'm still holding a right. He's going to go through 7. No, don't drop.
Come on.
Getting.
28. Give me
AMC might be a
28.
short. AMC might be a short. Yeah, I think it is a short. Ride. See if you can get to 7.
Getting out of Billy. It's not in play. It's just flat on that trade. It's not going to move.
I think a little bit
At
out
least I
more
don't
on
feel like it.
right. Holding a little bit on right. See if you can get to 7. AMC, what's AMC up to? AMC looks like a short, looks weak. See if you can get short some AMC just for fun. 42, no, I'm not gonna short it. No, I'm not gonna touch AMD. Poor Megan, she's really looking for a handcuff. So imagine the Megan putting handcuffs on the CEO. What's that job? I don't know.
What kind of a business are you running?
What kind of a business? Putting handcuffs on the CEO in the morning.
Yeah. What's your job description?
Right, gonna go to 7, I think.
Still sitting here. Oh God, come on, get through 28. There we go.
Come on,
There
right?
we go.
I know you're gonna go to
There's
7. What are
There's
you
your
struggling?
pop there. Yeah, selling some
Just
more
in
here.
7. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So what are you trading, Brian?
BYSI.
BYSI. Oh, nice. Not much volume.
It's just not.
OnlyFans content. Fiona's is OnlyFans content. Yeah.
It's just not moving cleanly. Like.
All right. So I got a really nice move on AMC is still struggling. I don't know. I don't dare to short AMC, and I really have a really good day. I took a nice trade on the ride. I'm not really keen to.
I think with AMC, you can't trade that at the open. You've really got to let it do something like settle down and do something like it's going to compress. Jared's
it looks like it's holding S3. It looks like holding S3 right now. It's a matter of risk to reward, to be honest with you. It looks like it's bouncing from S3. I'm taking a short right now at 42.33 on AMC. I might get a stop out, but now the risk to reward is a little bit better. Actually, turned out to be garbage trade. You know what? Actually, I'm covering it. I don't care. I'm covering it. I made $27 on it. No, this squeeze. I really didn't like this squeeze. The 5-minute chart looks like a really nice thing, but yeah, I'm glad I covered it. Jerky.
I'm glad I got out of the rest of BYSI. I'm glad I'm out of that now.
Ride, still holding a little bit of ride. See if you can ride it higher.
So the Chinese stocks are popping up a little bit here. K-Web's going up. A few things are greening up on the screen here.
Oh, AMC is now long. Oh, it might squeeze out. Oh, yeah, I think it might be long. Let's see what it does. Should I get in? Yeah, it's going to be a long. It's going to go for, oh, yeah. I'm getting a small long just to be part of history. Oh, yeah. 42.90. How many shares I took? 2,000 shares. Let's see if 2,000 shares can go up a little bit higher. Sold. You know what? Actually, I'm getting out of it. I just don't want to trade. It's going to go up, but I just don't want to trade. Seriously, I had a really good day on AMC. I just don't want to trade anymore. I don't want to, I want to do a nice recap today that I did one trade and it was done. I think AMC is going to go up. Yeah, this looks like becoming engulfing. Part of his. See, I'm kind of getting performance anxiety. I had a really good trade on ride, and this shorts just got that's just like a performance anxiety. And this is a subpar trade. There's so many levels up there. There's S1, there's high, it's just, I'm actually glad I got out of it because, that's just, it's a subpar trade and I'm so happy. Oh, right. I'm getting out of right all out on break-even point. Nice, TJ. Nice. $500. Really nice. Sabah. Human is trading Sabah. Human,
Yeah,
what should
Saba
I do with Sabah?
was watching that one too. Penn is
Yeah, I might go
and
for it.
DKNG are
Nordstrom is still setting off, bounce back from his tree. INO, what's INO doing? INO was a vaccine company, yeah? We used to trade this a lot.
we traded it in the past. Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm done with my day. I had a really, really solid day. No more trades for me. I'm just holding on my ARC and
just short,
CMA here.
just
Holding these
shorted
two.
some Dollar Tree DLTR. It's dropping here. Just going to cover some here. 77, 95, 77 covered some. Ooh.
Nice trade on it, Human.
YY looks really weak.
Very nice, Nevener. Really nice, really nice. Right, just stop me out right at 665 and bounce back.
Just shorted some YY. It's dropping. Just caught that nice drop there. Covered some.
AMC is squeezing. AMC is squeezing finally.
So I'm still short some DLTR as well.
AMC is squeezing. AMC is squeezing. 43.20. I'm long AMC at 43.20. Small size, just to be out of form. Let's see if you can get to green. Come on.
Just covering some more DLTR here. 95.70. 67 filled. Why I'm not still holding short, but it's looks like it's going to try to pop up here. As long as it stays below the 9 moving average, I'm going to stay in it.
I'm going to get out of my AMC at 43. I'm not going to touch it. Have you noticed these cats, when you put some light in the wall, they just become quickly based on instinct? It's like, I saw this AMC, you just jumped in based like. No, I just got out of it. No, I took a small size. I took actually 2,000 shares on it, and I'm lost on it. But it's okay. It's $160 lost on it.
Yeah, I'm out of YY. It just looks like it's going to pop back up here.
Yeah, what is YY doing?
Yeah, it's creating kind of crazy. I'm gonna should take it off my screen here.
BYSI stay away from AMC.
Crazy.
Stay away from AMC. It's
just sticking with my short here on Dollar Tree.
Sava went red. Nice, woman. Sava is red. Oh, bounce back. Nordstrom is at S3. S3. What's UUU doing? Oh my god, horrible. I'm just gonna delete that. TCAT halted. What's low float
Oh,
Horde are doing? Oh,
TCAT
TCAT. Oh,
TCAT was
oh, that's
TCAT
interesting.
was it's been in play for a couple days.
Ah, this is the one that went to 80. Are you kidding me?
I'm all out of
Ah,
Dollar Tree. I don't think it's going to drop anymore here.
yeah, TCAT might be the stock in play right now.
Yeah, it's got
Things are
halted.
running up.
Oh, Becky is popping up.
NFT for crazy. TCAT is yeah. What is this NFT mania right now? This is just exactly like tulip mania was in the Netherlands back in the 16th century. People are buying these garbage NFTs like 10 Ethereum. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I know
thought it kind of.
NFT could be the future, but not this garbage stuff that they're selling and buying.
I thought the NFT stuff kind of. It seemed like a bit of a flash in the pan there. There was somebody paid millions of dollars for some NFT of something, and then it kind of. I didn't hear anything more about it.
SPRT.
Baidu and JD went green.
Gary Vee is also an NFT. I mean, the technology of NFT
Yeah,
definitely, I mean, for the digital, copyright and stuff is good, but not this garbage stuff that people buying and selling. I don't know. I mean, I might be old generation. I don't understand these people.
it doesn't.
This meme,
It makes no sense.
absolutely nothing makes sense. Yeah, this garbage truck is worth more than those NFTs that these guys are selling. Gary Vee, everything is pump and dump. The life is pump and dump. Gary Vee has a follower, and now he's pumping and dumping. Like all the influencers, pumping and dumping cryptos, not for the benefit of people, but just for making their pocket richer. It's not like having $50 billion is not enough. They're pumping and Bitcoin to have more. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, Elon Musk,
Looks
to
like
be honest with you, Elon Musk showed that he's another narcissistic billionaire that just want to mess with people just for his own benefit. I'm so disappointed at Elon Musk. I mean,
I know. Might go to 10. Yeah, it's looking possibly. Let's see what the ladder looks like here. Yeah, there's a fair amount of liquidity all the way up there, all the way up to 10.
for which one? For
I know. I know.
Ride is popping back up. Ride is popping back up to 7 with volume. I don't want to trade it though. That could have been. The problem with these low price stocks are, when the stock is $1, 1 cent move is 1% volatility. So when the price is smaller, every cent becomes more valuable in terms of profit taking and algos and stuff. That's why they really become so choppy, because every chop is actually a reason. Like Apple from 150 to 150.50, that 50 cents might be a reasonable profit for some traders. But here, 5 cents is a lot at 665 to 710. That's a lot of volatility. That's why they become harder to trade, because there are algos also trading them, and they're taking profit in this high frequency trading. It's just becomes a little bit messy to trade. SPRT is popping up. That's why they're just I'm so bad at them. In this particular case, right? I don't think high frequency trading. TKT is open. This one settled down. It's really trade these stocks that get halted a couple of times. This is the second halt on it, huh? AMC. I think AMC is going to go eventually green for the day. But who dares to touch it, really?
Yeah, it's just choppy.
Kyle. Yeah, I think AMC is going to go green. But again, it's so hard to trade it today. ANF keep selling
I
off.
just got long. I got long TK. I got long TCAT just for a laugh. Here we go.
Let's laugh, Brian losing his money.
There you go. Well, I'm selling some here. But it's just jumping all over the place.
I know, it's hard. It's hard. Spread is not that bad, but it's just...
Yeah, I got out of most of it at 13.50. Now it's back to my break even.
AMC gonna go to 44. Garbage. Yeah, I know, it's really hard to trade.
Yeah, I'm out of the rest of it. It's not gonna feels like it's gonna drop. Too much risk holding it.
Yeah, the problem is the risk, the flush that they get. I mean, it can easily flush to 12. You have 1,000 shares, $1,000 loss. It's just not worth the hassle. Right is going up. Just wanted to stop me out. Bastard.
Right.
What is this company? Oh, this one is Lordstone Motors. What is that?
Lordstone Motors. That's the company that's making. They're making cars. I think there's a lot of controversy over the CEO and.
Really beaten up. For those people who hold the stuff that they think is gonna bounce back, it's just a perfect example. From 30, I'm sure a lot of people are still holding it from 30. 750 is daily resistance. Oh yeah, definitely. Well, we have 781 here, and then we had some levels back here at 660, which we bounced over. Yeah. Yeah, that big ask. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna go to 750. AMC went to green eventually.
Oh, I should have held on to my Dollar Tree. It's just leaking. Why?
Man, I got lucky on that
look
ride.
At BYS. Look at that. Look at BYSI. Jesus. It did that pullback. Yeah, YY is sinking.
Doesn't have much volume though.
Yeah.
LTR is really beaten up. ANF is really beaten up. Yeah, I think the only thing that I like today is what's TCAT doing? Still holding that level. INO, no volume. Sava is garbage. DLTR, nothing. SPRT. Yeah, I think I got lucky on that ride, to be honest with you. I really got lucky on that. Fed meetings. I don't think Fed is going to do anything special.
They're meeting today, and then Yeah, and then
Go ahead, sorry.
Powell's talking tomorrow. But there's some numbers that are coming up on Friday as well that the Fed watch, which is like personal expenditures. And there's something else, can't remember what the other one was. But they're kind of maybe the purchasing managers index or something. So I think they usually look at those for sort of guidance. So I think those numbers people will be watching those to kind of get some,
Sorry.
figure out which things are going. Okay, no positions for me now.
YouTube people, thank you so much for watching. How are you doing? Thanks for all the donations, guys. I think we reached a couple of thousand this year, this month. So we appreciate a like or subscribe. Yeah, right is slowly grinding up.
Yeah.
AMC did go green.
Are you still in ride?
No,
It's breaking
I'm not
out.
trading it. I know I'm watching it, but it's just no, I'm good. That's okay. It's a good practice for
Yeah.
me also to not touch anything. I mean, definitely it's very strong. It's good practice for me as well. I mean, I had a really, really solid day. Um, I absolutely don't need to push it. It's been a really good week so far for me, although I slept one day. I had a really, really solid day. And just holding and watching some ARC and TNA just keeps going higher. That's good. See if you can get something. I'm back to cash most of my position, most of my accounts. Just chill. Sometimes it's better to be chill a little bit. End of August. That's right. It's just keep going up. And I gotta also, every time in the morning I'm telling you to be patient. I gotta actually practice what I'm saying. So that's good. I have a really solid day. I'm gonna.
YY is still sinking here. USI was just annoying that it sold off like that.
Wow. What a trade on Ride X Trader. What a trade. Are you still in there? Nice. Very nice. Nice. 750. Yeah, that's the ask that got hit. See? Watch Thor's videos on level 2 when he talks about all of this stuff. It's
Wow.
beauty,
Look at
amazing.
ride rip now. Wow.
Yeah,
This
just
thing is
amazing.
really,
Oh my
I
God. Love this.
think this is really heavily shorted too. So that you're getting a big squeeze. I think this is about a 30% short interest on it.
Oh my God, somebody is blowing up their fund. Beauty, very beautiful. Yeah, definitely it's gonna go to 8. Definitely it's gonna go to 8. Just
Just
getting some
I
long here and just some long here and this micro pullback. See if we
pull
can get
back.
another pop.
Yeah, I got long there too.
762.
62. Yeah, I'm in there. 762 as well.
See if we can for the next push. See if we can get the next push up. Don't do that.
Just added more at 54.
Me as well.
There
760.
we go.
Getting
There we
getting
go.
some out here at
Yeah,
765.
yeah. Selling some.
This next pop
763.
might.
Here we go.
I don't know if it wants to go back up to my average is at
Yeah,
756. Getting out.
I'm
La, la, la,
getting
la,
out
la, la.
more there.
Still has some. Yeah, I'm getting out of completely. I was expecting to make a better
Yeah.
pushback, but yeah, it might go up. Do you think it would be a 920? No, far from 920. I think
No,
it's going
it's
to
too
go up.
far.
Let's just cut out of it. Yeah.
It's not gonna. I'm still holding on to some.
Yeah, it might go.
I almost got out, but I just as long as it
Yeah,
didn't drop below
definitely.
that last 50, my last
750 would
entry
have been a
there.
good entry. Yeah.
Yeah,
How many shares do we have for shorts? We have tons for
I
short
just
too.
sold. I'm out of it. 765. Ooh, glad I got out of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm flat on you guys. I'm not in there. AMD popped up. Oh yeah, AMD might go to 109. That's for sure.
The
Our buddy
IWM
AMC.
is flirting with going green.
It's good because I'm long. Nordstrom is still. Nordstrom.
Nordy's still selling off.
What was that too? TKAT was a garbage one. Yeah, the
Why
squeeze
if
was
it comes
way too big on it.
why if it comes up to 62 could be a short. That'll be at the 9 moving average.
INO 920.
This,
INO, it did
right.
920. Yeah, someone in the chat room, Jonathan, it did somehow at 920 here. Yeah,
That's kind of ugly. XPEV Dima had XPEV
yeah.
on her watch list. That had a nice pop up.
Because Dima is my
Uh,
trader. She is good. Yeah, YouTube guys, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate that, and we appreciate a like or subscribe. We love that. And yeah, Thor, feel free to cut off whenever that you want. Continue the trading
yeah,
in the
just
chat.
yeah. Thanks for joining us this morning out on YouTube. Remember, you can join the room. You don't have to watch this through YouTube. We've got a special there. $24 for the week.